YouTube, and here we go. Hello, YouTube. This is the Kinky Roundtable. We're going to put the link to get into the show in the comments on the YouTube. Everyone is welcome. Here goes our basic warning. Reminder, if you come on the show, your voice, your likeness will be public. Consider how that might affect you as a human being and the things that you're doing. On YouTube, you can see we have the vacuum out. We've been doing some rearranging, been doing some work. I wanted to say something today, though, and this is very true to everything that I've been through in the last 2 years with doing the kink education very differently, very TikTokish. And I have been doing kink education for decades now. However, being on TikTok, having such quick back and forths, having exposure to more kinksters over the 2 years and everything that we've had has really made me develop a different way to educate, to teach, and to talk about kink. And I've really grown to love everything about that. I'm being joined by the co-host to the cool program, Kinks of Our Lives, which this Wednesday will be kicking off possibly on the Kink Advocate channel for the first time ever because of our current ban. We're going to play it by ear because we're supposed to have live access back. So we're going to try to go live there, but I don't know how long that will last given the new AI structure. Alice, what is going on?
How's it going? It's been a crazy bit of a day or weekend really for me, but nothing bad, just very busy and crazy. So
yeah. Sorry to hear about the issues that you were having. We don't have to talk about them on here, but that kind of stinks.
yeah, no, we'll leave it. We'll leave that alone because really it's just life being life.
Ain't that the truth? So welcome to the program. This is the Kinky Roundtable. I was explaining to everyone, I don't know if you heard it, that we were having problems because of the fact that, well, basically, we got banned from doing lives on the Kink Educator channel for no good reason. They did get back to me, Alice. I don't know if you heard that. And they're going to review our case. And even if we don't get full access back by Wednesday, I don't care because it's important they look at what they did so they don't do it again.
Yeah, I did not hear that they were putting it under like human review, so to speak.
We did.
So I'm glad for that.
I don't think it's a catch-22 here. So I think when they stopped the live, they wound up deleting it. So now they're going to have to kind of try to investigate. Cassandra Jean has new profile, not for a while now. This profile, the Kink Advocate's been around, I think, about 2 months now. We had created this for the overflow of commentary, and we wound up running into a problem with a kink educator whose fan base, and to make this clear, their fan base came over and was toxic to our channel and deliberately started to cause us problems. But before that happened, we were on the biggest high we'd ever had. Comments for days. We were weeks behind the comments. And then we never got a video taken down, but I know they were reporting it. And we were getting a shadow ban. And why? Because this is the new way. And go watch Superman the movie. It'll rise your spirits and teach you that we have to be kind because kind is punk rock, and I believe that. But we welcome you all on. We're not gonna let it get it down, and we never let it stop us, right, Alice?
Exactly, because it's not too important to let a few people who think their opinions are all that matter ruin it for everyone else.
And it's funny, I had said this. Someone was like, well, what makes you an authority? I was like, nothing makes me an authority. I'm just motivated. I have over 4,000 videos about kink education. What have you done? And people don't like that because that's a real number. That's an intimidating number. But we do it. We go live. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you, and we'll talk about this more, Alice. You're going to love the story I have for you for the live event we had yesterday. But I'm tired. My throat's killing me. There's nothing I would have rather done today but turn on the television, just sat around and done nothing. But that's not life. That's not how you build a channel. It's showing up. And as the kink advocate, the kink advocate now, but as the comic book advocate, it's what I had to do. I went from show to show to do things. And Alice, who is did you see the video I made? I know you've been busy today about how Kink Educator isn't a me, it's a we.
No, I didn't, but yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
So for a very long time, it says I have your phone ever tell you have a notification and then you don't?
Yeah. Well, especially if it's like I'm already like, so I'm now in the situation with you where I have one phone that's actually on a service provider, actual cell phone, and then I have an old phone that's no longer connected. And so I'll get, maybe if I'm on TikTok on one, it'll give a notification on the other, but it's gone because I'm actually already in the app. It's weird.
So we are putting a lot of our library over here on YouTube right now, and we are trying to get things as uniform as they can. So we created this channel as a way to respond to everyone's questions off the main one. But now the Kink Educator's kind of been kneecapped for a little while. It's on a shadow ban, and it's got a strike against it for no good reason we can tell. We're expanding onto this channel. But now Free Hugs and Spanks always kind of had its own flavor. It finally developed its own thing, and it has been doing great. That will hopefully be our second channel to hit 10,000. I would like the Comic-Con Online to hit that, but we'll see. And then, of course, here. And like we were talking about, it went from a me campaign to a we, especially with Alice, who's shown up so much, not just to do the cool once a week, but the comments. It is the back and forth comments that have really, I understood what we were talking about, like the TikTok thing. I understood the assignment, but I didn't always have the language, the muscle memory to explain it. Like, and we challenged some of the beliefs I had. One of the beliefs I had, and Alice was against me on this, was that submission was a gift. It's a great teaching tool. But what do I always say? Don't teach bumper stickers. Teach the reality. So I loved submission as a gift because it made it valuable, I thought. But it was true. Alice made one of the best points. And ironically, I can't remember it now. But I remember Alice had made a comment about it being a gift.
Was it about gifts shouldn't require work, or that gifts aren't returnable?
The non-returnable
Indian gift?
Yeah, you can, but I think it was the two of them together. It was, and Indian give I know might be insensitive.
Yes,
how we meet it. We're Gen X.
Yeah,
it took me a minute to even register. It could be if it's a bad, and I think it's bad.
Sorry. Yeah, you're probably right.
It's just we were talking about people boomeranging things or giving you something.
No takesy backsies, or you know.
And it's so hard. I've been doing the work though, Alice, to listen to other books. I have another book. I'm trying to learn how to adapt my language. You have to understand, anyone you knew who's Gen X that grew up in the 90s not only said things they shouldn't have said, but everyone was saying it. There was no Puritans among us. We're all learning. A Gen Xer who tells you they never said anything inappropriate is a lying Gen Xer. And
I totally agree with that.
I say that with love. It was
well, and I'm actually technically very early, possibly beginning millennial. I'm not actually Gen X. I'm a little bit younger.
I'm an Xennial. 78 wound up getting thrown into this weird bubble that I think 77 to 81 or 82, some shit like that. I don't even understand this generation, because since I've been alive, the generational thing has grossly changed. We had the quiet, what was it? The quiet generation?
The silent generation. Yep.
Baby
boomers.
Which
were pre-boomers. Yep.
Baby boomers. And then it was Gen X. And Gen X was supposed to stop when MTV happened. And then there was the MTV generation that just disappeared overnight. There's no longer an MTV generation. Just like MTV played music, it disappeared.
It got rebranded as so you have like your major categories of generation, which would be like silent generation, boomer, baby boomers. I think Gen X might technically be a sub generation, and then you have millennials, right? But you always have that weird group that's kind of at the edge of each generation that kind of create their own like subgroup because the cultural shift at that time.
What's crazy is there's no generation before the silent generation.
No, that's when they started. Well, there are, but nobody, but also they're not relevant. They're genuinely not relevant at all. I mean,
Right.
silent generation is almost completely irrelevant at this point, just in the fact of there's no one left. There's they're here. We do still have some silent generation, but it's a very small quantity. We have a lot of boomers left. Millennials are starting to, Gen Z. And then I think technically Gen Alpha has started.
Is it Gen? Yeah, I think Gen Alpha might be.
Yeah, we start back at A. But I don't remember the cutoff between Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So I can't remember, are they elementary kids or are they middle school or high schoolers? I can't remember where the line is.
I think they're just being born, honestly.
Are they? I have genuinely no idea.
Yeah, and it's going to change in 5 years. That's what frustrates me about the whole thing. Good. We have a question from consent or a statement from consent, I should say. Submission and dominance is a privilege that can be taken away. I love that. Can I steal that as an educational tool? That is
that's really a very simple one. Well put.
I'm going to write it down just in case you let me steal. But no, we have changed, and that was the whole point, I think, of this channel. Thank you. We got a yes. Is that I always have never ran from honest conversations, and when I first started this, so many people just thought they could bark at me. And by setting a standard and holding to that and blocking some people, we have created an honest space where discussion can happen. And oh boy, I recently read a book. Alice is going to know the book I read.
I'm curious. I'm curious your take because I've not even started it.
No bueno. No bueno. It is a nightmare. It is basically book talk. It is everything that we kind of try to clean up on this channel. I'll give you the biggest headline, and you'll know exactly why I'm feeling this way. Kink is about sexual fantasy. That is repeated multiple times throughout the book. It is, and to credit to the writer, and I did leave a review. I'm sure they're not going to like, but I was kind-ish. That person, they basically are writing it from a very sexualized point of view. They talk about history without actually talking about our history and cherry picking what they want to put. They talk about all these places, but don't mention Stonehenge and how important Stonehenge is and how important the LGBT.
You mean Stonewall?
Stonewall, thank you. Yeah.
Stonewall riots, yeah.
Yeah, right. It doesn't mention that and how important that is, and that is to New York City. Said the first contract was done in the 1800s, and the reason we call it masochist is that there was this Austrian guy whose name is M-A-S-H-T, and we got masochism from his name. I think I'm spelling it wrong. Either way, he didn't write a contract; he wrote an agreement. But of course, that's not how it's going to be remembered. This site that's not very reputable and likes tongue-in-cheek wrote it down as contract. This person read that and now thinks that's the first contract ever written. No. And it's also one of those hinge people that most Americans wouldn't have been affected by. Talks about leather and why we have all these things. Calls that at one point in the book, and I went back and listened again, said there were only 3 real fetishes, and it had to do with heels, lace, and...
Oh, God. I'm the fact that they said that it is a sexual fantasy, and the fact that now they're trying to say there's only 3 real fetishes, and, I don't think I'm going to even... I don't think I'm going to read it. I don't want to pay to read it.
I'll tell you this. If it costs you money, don't read it.
No, and it would have, which is part of why I hadn't started it yet.
That's why I wanted to get. I reached out to you today and I asked if you're coming on so we can talk about it. It is rough.
I mean, I do like books when they're good. I have a hard time finding books that are good, and if I'm honest, one of the only books that I've ever found that I will reread and still read. I still have to, when I tell people to, give them the forewarning of hey, this book was written in the late 90s, early 2000s. So a lot has changed. Keep that in mind as you're reading it. there's different language for some of these things, but if you can kind of read for the backbone of what it's telling you, it's still very good.
What do you got there?
It is the new bottoming book. I do like that one.
I've
but
heard
it's a little
that.
outdated. Now, I've read both the new bottoming book and the new topping book. I find much to be desired in the new topping book. It's not a bad one. I just don't find it to be as informative or helpful as the new bottoming book. And I've had multiple top only, dom only type not partners, but friends and stuff. Like they just only play on that side of the slash, read it. And they thought even for their role, it was a very insightful, helpful book, more so than the new topping book in some cases.
Well, I mean, I've heard of those books. I don't particularly really enjoy reading.
Yeah.
The books that we went over this the other day. Sorry, I have to. My AC is struggling at the moment because it's middle of August or beginning of August in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to turn fans on to add circulation to the house because it is getting kind of warm in here. But no, the new bottoming book, new topping book, it's reading, and I get so disappointed by kinky books. Honestly, the only one there's 2 books now I will definitely recommend. Well, 3 if we're gonna bring comic books in it. Sunstone, comic book graphic novel, Sunstone. Mwah. You can find that. We were actually gonna start a comic book club. It was one of the groups we had for my local community, and I still might do it. It's just how many things do you want to do in a month? How much are you gonna have? And because you don't want to overtask even the community, even if I can keep up, which I probably can with a weekly event, will the community want that? We haven't really built our slice of the community to be big enough yet.
The group that I moderate, we're doing like a monthly get together book club kind of a thing. And it very quickly dwindled down to just the people in that group that I basically identify as like the people in my tribe kind of a thing, or like my group, like my actual good friends. It quickly kind of devolved into just the close friends. And it's not that anybody is exiled from joining. It's just there are a core group of people that have been going and been involved with each other for a number of years. So by nature are closer. It quickly just turned into just those like 6 people joining for the book club. Because just, I guess, trying to get together once a month. And it wasn't even in person. We actually did it over Discord at that time. It loses steam. So
we're going to talk about that in a minute, actually, losing steam in community events, because I had one last night that didn't go great. Yeah. Wasn't horrible, but there was a situation. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I did want to talk about Kinky History by Emily. Hold on. She's on TikTok. If you guys go to TikTok and you go look on the profile for Kink Educator, you're going to find one of our playlists is now library. And the library has their book in it. Now, I will want to do... I had a copy at one point of Sunstone, and I don't know where the hell it went. Like I've tried to find it since the move.
You probably loaned it or something.
That's what I'm thinking happened. So the person who this is with, oh man, I'm trying to see her name. Did they remove it? Because sometimes it says stitch with, and then there's a remove, and I don't even know what it. God damn it, I can't see her actual name. Let me see. If I can get the name. Here we go. All right, it's Kinky History by ESME Emis Louise James. Now it says Kinky History. It is not Kinky History. It's Canilla History. For those who don't know.
I know who this is. I followed her for a very long time.
And she does.
I always thought it was pronounced Esme.
Esme, yes, thank you. Esme, I could not remember. Esme, yes. It's a good book. It's not what I would call kinky history, but it is Canilla history. The thing
it feels more like adult interaction history, unfiltered to some extent.
Sorry about the clown sounds.
Right, like not filtered through the, hey, I'm going to make this palatable for you. No, I'm just going to actually tell you what historians have actually found.
I thought it was a lovely thing, honestly. I appreciated their
I'll
take.
have to look it up because I'm also at a point in my life, I don't mind reading, but I'm just at a point in my life where I am more likely and more able to find time to consume an audiobook than I am to sit down and consume actual text reading. So like that's also partly why like the other book I was suggesting, they have it on an audiobook.
Yeah. And
so
I mean, does bottoming happen to be on the thing? Maybe I'll put that as one of my next books.
So that those two authors have quite a few books, and yeah, a lot of them are on Audible. I don't know if you can get them elsewhere. I pretty much use Audible. I mean, if we're being honest, if they've ever recorded something, if you're that kind of person, you can find anything on the internet. But because I know this isn't a poly channel, but also their other one that they've also wrote books on poly. That I thought are good. And again, it's not, how to explain it? I think part of what I liked about them is they're trying to set the backbone kind of like you do. Like you should always follow these steps. You should always have, you know, negotiation, get consent. Then you have your pre-scene, your scene, your aftercare, right? Like the backbone of how to do stuff. But they still leave it very open-ended, and you pick whichever components you and your partner agreed to, and you plug and play those components as consented to, as need be.
All right, so it's only a 5-hour book. Are you sure, Alice? Are you sure? Because that's 1 hour. I can do an hour. You think it's worth it?
I think it's worth it. I like it. I've given it to many folks to read, and they've liked it as well. And honestly, their other book, if you've never read it, it's more a poly one. But it's probably the best one I've found. Their Ethical Slut by the same authors.
Are they?
I really Ethical Slut. Yep.
I've read that. I've actually listened to that 3 or 4 times now.
Do you like the book?
Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, a little outdated. Plus, it leans too much into sex work for me.
I could see that a little bit. Because also where they're coming from is San Francisco's in the 80s. So
yeah, I understand that, but I also like sometimes we've always talked about leather kind of invades kink and all that.
Yes.
Leather is definitely very sexualized. We're not. Kink is not meant to be overly sexualized. And it's that leather that makes it that. And then, you know, there's nothing wrong with, understand, I'm not a sex educator. There's nothing wrong with sex. It's just not the goal. I wish some days that the goal was just sex. My life would have been so much easier in life, but I would have been bored and probably not wanted to continue. Just being vanilla. No offense, vanilla people. We use your toolbox for everything else we do. It's just, you know, vanilla.
Yeah. Well, and I personally find that, yes, they do definitely play into the connotation that kink can be sexual, but they do also like talk about things that's not as it's not as in your face that it's not inherently sexual, I'll say, but it's also not, to me, it didn't feel as in your face that it has to be sexual. And as an asexual player, more often than not, that's kind of important to me. But yes, the authors of Ethical Slut are also the authors of the new Topping and the new Bottoming book. And they were friends with Jay Wiseman, or are friends with Jay Wiseman. They all kind of came up in their same little group.
I've spoken to Jay Wiseman in the past. Is Jay Wiseman still alive?
I do not know. I would have to give that a Google.
I'm actually curious now. Someone asked, do I have a good thing for a total power exchange dynamic, a book for it? To be the dick, the thing I wrote, be the desire index, and the thing that's going to come out soon would be much better than most of what I've read. I've read the Leatherman's Handbook. Now, I was much younger. Don't hate me for this. It was an internet copy I didn't pay for, but I also wasn't of age yet. So don't hate me too much for that. And I read it twice, and no, it's not about us. It's not, for the most part, it's not about, at least not me. It's not about me, a kinky person. I understand the draw. No, I'm not excited about it. But I think it's worth reading. I do. But it's very leather based, and I'm just not leather. I'm not. No shame to them. It's so much protocol, so much all this, and like with ADHD, I could never follow my own rules I would set out. And TPE is so like individualized. It is about you and your partner. You shouldn't be going off a script unless you're going to be leather. Don't go off a script. Really figure out what is total power exchange with you. What parts of your life do you want someone tinkering in? What parts of your life are still here? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
What? Why? Yes, he is still alive.
Wiseman, he is still alive.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to say, I fully back it up. There is no one checklist that's going to work for everyone. So you really do, like you said, you need to work through that desire index, your news, to figure out what you want. And also be open to the fact that maybe you both thought this was going to be, this one thing of your dynamic was going to be really awesome and work great. And once you actually implement it, you find out it's horrible for both of you. Don't be shocked if that happens, and do not be afraid to have the conversation and be like, this isn't working, when you're having that garage time, that maintenance time conversation, you know.
So trying to get this right. Pearl's Playground just wants to read anything about it. The truth is I don't have one that I would recommend off the top of my head. Did I say it wrong? Pears. Sorry about that. It's so small on the screen right here. Pears Playground. I know who it is. I just didn't know if you wanted me to say who you are, because this is a secondary account. So I've been in a lifestyle long enough that if I realize someone's saying their new name, I don't say the old name. I pick up, and I was at an event yesterday.
Yeah.
To people introduce themselves when they first meet me. Hey, I'm Johnny. And I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to know you as Johnny. And in a week, you're going to change it to like super cool dude. And I'm going to want to say Johnny every time I see you.
Well, and I think that's an important thing for people who have not been to in-person things to realize is in kink, scene names changing is treated the same as someone coming out with a new name, whether it be before they transitioned or whatever reason. You don't use the dead name. You don't use the dead scene name. You go by the new one from there forward.
Are we allowed to use dead name? I know that has a bigger thing in a different
Well, that's
way.
why I'm saying you treat it the same way as dead naming. In the respective of, you do not dead name somebody who has maybe for one reason or another come out with a new name, whether they are trans and re-emerging as their new authentic self or whatever. It's kind of the same with scene names. If somebody's changed their scene name, you need to try your best to get rid of using the old one, because there's probably a reason.
Absolutely. We want to give a lot of room to our LGBTQ community, because there are a lot of LGBTQ people who show up in our community that are part of us, that we have always had been intermingled. And one of the things that they do touch on in the book that I just read, and I'm not naming the books, I'm not trying to shit on someone. So if you want to know what book it is, I'll tell you in a private message. I'm not that type of person. Even when I did comic books, I hated doing negative reviews. But one of the things they did talk about is how the kink and the LGBT community are having a problem. And I mean, I've heard about it. I've seen it. I don't really want to talk much about it because it's heartbreaking to me. But the one thing I will say is that a lot of it seems to stem from the Folsom Street Fair. And I feel like if people just stopped doing kink at the Folsom Street Fair, there'd be no hatred from coming at us from the LGBTQ community. And I think that's because they have come so far in being able to be out that they want to be able to bring their family now and celebrate. And it's not to use the word, it is not the, what the hell is that word? Taboo thing it used to be. We have they have become very out in the open, and we are still no one ever took us for the ride. And it's sad.
I feel like it's two things. I feel like it's a lot of people being critical of Folsom who have maybe never even been there. I do feel like there's a lot of that comes up because Folsom, that is a unique event. It is a event all unto its own. And I also feel like people, I believe Pride should be fully accessible, but I don't feel that every single event should be fully family accessible. The problem is where do you divide that line and how do you market which one's which?
And I've had this argument with people in LGBTQ, and it'll continue to be an argument. It was just in this book. And it's like, well, you know, when you're kinky, it's this different sexuality. And this person goes on to say that. And again, we don't think kink is a sexuality. I'm demisexual and I'm kinky. There's that and there. Kink has always been something that's uniquely different. But going on that vein, the author turns around and says, well, with kink, you're almost shoving your sexuality down people's faces. And I was like, no.
No.
And not shove anything down anyone's face. And I can have the adult conversations. I do it all the time. But I believe that's also the thing, is that even people in LGBTQ who are in our community often say, well, we don't need to talk about kink. We can hide all that because all that stuff we don't have to do in public. And you know what? If we were accepted and people didn't lose custody, people didn't lose their children, their jobs, their careers, and there is a difference between a job and a career, then we probably wouldn't have the problems we do today. But we do have that, and it needs to be respected as long as it's consensual. And we need that protection like everyone else needs a protection. As people are losing their protections, this is a good reminder that, hey, without protections, we're in real fucking shit. We're in a danger zone. And when you have that, and I see it now, this book came out in 2023, and this book took from places. There was a website that got taken down, and I'm not shocked because it was one of those places that I knew wasn't going to last, and it got taken down. And I've seen enough of these people pop up and go away, and they try to do these things, and it was a horrible representation of the kinky life. I'll say that, Alice. It was, unless you have the spare money and the time, do not invest in that. Like if you can get
I don't have either, so I'm just gonna pass. I did look at the table of contents because they allowed you to preview it, and just from that, I was already kind of a little like, ooh, I'm not sure this is going in a great direction. But again, table of content, like chapter titles, don't give you a ton to go on.
It's all,
it's kind of like my spidey sense was tingling that I wasn't going to enjoy the book, but I didn't know more than that.
I mean, there was even a part where the philia that we won't even mention on this channel was defended to a certain degree. So.
Yep. Nope. There's no.
I almost stopped listening, but I had promised someone, and I live up to my promises. I promised to someone. There were some good things that came up, but it was misinterpreted. This is someone who didn't really do their homework. The history stops in the 1800s, and I'm like, wow. Okay, your book talk. Your book talk.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't stop there.
I'm gonna get a refund too, Alice. I'm gonna get a refund.
Oof.
That's how I'm gonna get the new topping book, and I'll read that too.
Yeah. You're not. I'll fully admit, the new topping book I don't find to be as good as the new bottoming book. I don't.
But if like that other book, I don't want to support financially because
no.
If the author had come out and say, hey, if you're kinky on the sexual spectrum, if you use kink just as a topping for sex, this is the book for you. But that's not what this book was
advertised.
No.
Yeah.
Close.
Well,
the
and
title of it. If you only knew the title of it, ladies and gentlemen, you'd understand it. And it's that whole reclaiming the names. Like, oh, it's not bad to be called a deviant.
I gotta admit that the name itself kind of caught me, right? And kind of gave me a little bit like But I've also read books like Ethical Slut, which is very much a name grab an attention-grabbing book title. So
I also understand it. It does hit home. It matters.
Oh, speaking of that author group, though, there is another book by them that I've never read that I'm curious to read.
What's that?
And the book is called, and I have never read it, so I'm not endorsing it. I don't know anything about it other than it's by authors I like. When Someone You Love is Kinky, and it's meant to be given to, like, you're in a monogamous relationship and one of you is kinky and the other isn't so much on that vein, and you could give it to your vanilla or your vanilla partner, basically. So I'm just curious to read it to see if it's actually in any way a decent resource. And I haven't gotten around to it yet.
It doesn't look like, sadly, it's an audiobook.
I don't think it is. I think it's partly why I haven't read it. Because, like I said, right now, audiobooks are so much easier for me than a sit down and read it book.
And with my ADHD, I want you all to know, I was doing the YouTube, bringing our BDSM 101 playlist over to YouTube while listening to that entire book. So I'm over here. There's actually a computer here now. I'm actually not kidding. Look, I got my usual computer. I'm on the computer. Remember how we were live and the computer was having problems? And I was like, I have to fix that computer now. I can't fix the computer. I have tried. There is something. I'm ADHD. So I want you to understand it's always 1,000 tabs. It's always 10 things at once. I beat the crap out of the CPU. And I tried, man. I re-downloaded. I took things out. I did have a critical error with because I can't update my computer right now. And yes, I've tried everything. I have actually gone through the only way I could do it now is I'd have to tear it all down. And I don't want to tear it all down right now because I've got to convert all the files over. And converting all the files over, I would almost want to take just the hard drive out later and use it as it is. Because I'm not going through that. I've done that process in the past. No, that's why I use everything's on a cloud now. Because I am never doing that again. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh, well, a cloud can go bad. If it goes bad, I'll sue them. By the way, Pear's Playground asked if it's okay that they followed you.
Yeah. Following is okay.
So, yeah. When that gets on an audio, I did like the Ethical Slut enough to listen to both the bottoming and topping book. Ethical Slut had nothing to do with our lifestyle, but does mention our lifestyle. Well, didn't have nothing to do with our lifestyle. It didn't focus on our lifestyle. But back to the point about us and the sexuality. I don't, for a while, I thought maybe we were like kink sexual, but it because of the fact so many people experience kink without sexual needs, I don't believe so. And even the way that they touched fetish.
Well, the biggest reason, before even joining your channel, I was always a big proponent of kink is not sexual. And very much being like, kink can be asexual. Because one, I frequently play that way. I played that way before I knew the term asexual. So, and two, because I play that way, even though I'm technically on the asexual scale by being demisexual, right? I've talked to a lot of asexual people, and they don't feel welcomed in spaces where they don't recognize that kink is not sexual. Right? And I think it's so critical to give people, those folks who identify as asexual, access to this. Because for a lot of them, that becomes their thing closest to being a sexual person. Because they don't actually have any interest in any of that. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever get along with any book or anything that tries to say it is purely for that kind of thing. No.
Okay, so some quick housekeeping. Sunstone is a great graphic novel about a lesbian relationship. Read it. Just read the first 2 volumes. I haven't gotten to the 3rd and 4th volume, and I have them downloaded for free. Reading is sometimes just like Alice is saying. I cooked. I called AT&T because of some nonsense that email I got from them. I listened to a book all while doing the YouTube. In between, the audiobook is playing, and I was able to do that. I can go walking with the audiobook. I went to a comic book shop out in Punta Gorda. Good friend of mine runs it, Reflection Comics, asked me to read a couple books, gave me 5 books, and now I got to read 5 books. And I'm getting older. My eyes are not what they are anymore. But I love absorbing, and an audiobook is so much easier to absorb. I have friends who have written like books, and I'm like, when you get the audiobook, I will do it. I don't read books because, especially with the dyslexia, I can't.
Yeah. See,
That's
and I don't have the dyslexia component. My partner does. And that they can consume the heck out of some audiobooks. Like if it's an audiobook, I've seen them go through like 30 books in a month because they're also ADHD. So very much they can have an audio thing playing in the background, fully understanding what that content is that they're listening to while doing something more mundane like cooking or laundry or general chores. And like I also often do that, but the level to which they can amazes me.
So me and Em have this argument. We listen to audiobooks together all the time. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. When they first got with me, so before I answer this, what's your audiobook speed, Alice?
So I am typically around a 1.2 to 1.5. My partner is not that. I'll leave it at that because I know where you're going.
I listen to my audiobooks at 3.5. People think I'm insane. I can grasp it. I will admit that when it comes to more technical stuff, like when I was learning about brain neurology, because I read that. I also read a book on nuclear fusion and particle matter, and another book about universal and gravitational pulls. This is what I listen to, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am that eclectic. It also helps as a comic book writer to understand those things, by the way. Everything is a 3.5. So, and don't tell Em this. God forbid she watches this video. I'll be in so much trouble. On our last trip, I was really excited about the book. So while they were sleeping on the ride, I upped it to 2.0 because they've been listening to 1.5. We had started at 1.25 together. We had gotten to 1.5 and had spent a year at 1.5. And I'm like, I'm going to put it to 2. I don't think they'll notice. Because when you've listened to it for that long, and it does come down to who's speaking. Because we talked about this the other night. Remember?
Yeah.
The women's voices seem harder. The woman who I just listened to today, the narrator, did an amazing job. I wish I could applaud the narrator because I had 3.5. Perfect. Understood it, doing all the stuff. I'll probably do, because I did the ethical slut at 3.25, 3.5. So I'll do this new one because they have great voices and I can do it. And it's not a voice thing; it's a pitch thing, as Alice had pointed out. It's not hating on the gender; it's just true. There are some guys I can't listen to, like Kevin Hart. First off, speaks too fast, and second, he would sound like a chipmunk if I put him up faster, and I'd be laughing too hard. And his book is a big laugh. So, but. Yeah, 3.5. So I remember
I could never survive.
I looked at the book I just downloaded while we're live, and I remember I said, "Oh, it's 5 hours, so it's about an hour to listen."
Yeah,
because it really is. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you what it will be.
Well, and I do have to say the one funny thing about these books. Okay, so now I'm wondering if I need to go grab my copy. But I think the bottoming book was originally published in 1992 or 94. Was originally when it was came out, and it was just the bottoming book at that point. Then in the early 2000s, which you'll recognize that we're talking early 2000s when you listen to the audiobook, they republished it as the new bottoming book, where they made some updates to it. The updates being around not having to take out personal ads in the newspaper to find partners.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but they came out with a 3rd edition.
Oh, I got to see if I have the 3rd edition. Maybe the 3rd edition is the audiobook then.
Yeah, 2015. Because I had heard about this. I don't know if the audiobook came out then, but, people always tell me about certain books. And I've heard about the bottoming book. I happen to not be a bottom. And I arrogantly think I know enough about bottoms. And the minute that I was going to tell Alice, well, I don't need to know about bottoming, I realized I needed to read it. Because the minute I get that cocky about something, then I definitely need to read something. Because I have gotten to the point where I think I know too much and I don't know shit. So now, just as a reminder to myself, I'm going to listen to someone else's point of view and learn from it. Because even that book, even the book I didn't like that I'm going to try to force Amazon to give me credit for because I did not like it that much. There were things that I learned. Sure. I'm not sure there were good things I learned. Like, apparently San Francisco is the center of the kink world. And I was like, no. Leather kink, yes. And then it was like, oh, you're writing a leather book. Just say you're writing your experience with leather. You hang out with people in leather. It would be so much more honest.
Well, and it feels like, homie, you're just rewriting what you Googled on the internet. Just by that singular statement.
But I will give this person credit. They are in the lifestyle. And I was happy for that. You could tell that. But their kinks were about eating.
Oh, well, to each their own.
Yeah, not shaming, but I'm saying it was vastly different. It was either sex or like how much they wanted to have sex with their partner after they gorged themselves.
To each their own. Yep. I don't personally have that kink, but I'm just meaning in the fact that thinking San Francisco is the cultural hub of kink. Yes, there is a lot that goes on there, and if you are a kinky person, you will not lack things to go to out there. But you can't shake your finger at cities like New York either.
What about Germany?
Oh, yes.
The Netherlands. I could like America's really not that big into kink as some of the European friends we have. So
yeah,
I can't stress that enough. Like, I'm from New York. You think I defend New York? We're talking United States. Here are the 4 cities you hear all the time. For kink, San Francisco has never been mentioned to me. New York City, California, Texas. For some reason, people keep saying Texas is wild.
Texas, especially on the leather side of things, there's a huge Texas leather scene.
I could see that.
For me, California has been broken down to either to San Fran as number 1 and closely followed by San Diego.
LA's got hot spots, though.
Yeah. But I always wondered if since it doesn't come up as much, I'm like, is it because you've got so many like stars and celebrities there where they have like, oh, it's just a little sprinkling topping type clubs or like heavy clubs kind of a thing?
Like,
probably both.
There was a point where I thought Chicago might have gotten bigger, but Chicago kind of, it's there. Like, there are a lot of places it's there, but like, I mean, New York City just is New York City. California has LA, and it's one of the biggest states, no doubt. Texas, same thing. The fourth state that actually comes up a lot, and it's kind of surprising to me, is in the Midwest, believe it or not. And they don't really call it a state. It's like New York City has a tri-state. And if you put New York City tri-state to what this is, but like there's like a thing between like Michigan and Chicago gets mixed in there too, of course, and something else. They kind of have driving. Sage kind of like talked about a few of the places I heard. So it's like a tri-area. It's like the Great Lakes community.
Yeah.
And I heard there's a lot there. And it's...
Yeah, because it's really not that far from Chicago to go over to, say, Indiana or up into Michigan.
And you used to get Canada kind of inspiration from that. But like if you put New York with Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania as the tri-state, well, it's more than the tri-state, but you know what I'm saying. There's a huge kink community out there that I come from. Now, Florida, it has a lot. It has a lot, but it's swinger heavy. It's swinger influenced, and it's sometimes very icky. And that's not me. That's not on me. That's on Florida. Literally on Florida, especially if you've been following this channel this year. So we're at 52 minutes. We're going to be heading over to finish the show on YouTube. I invite you all to come to Kink Educator on YouTube because I've got a story about what happened last night at my event that I couldn't have seen coming, and will tell you why I'm safeguarding the community, because I rarely have events we didn't filter out people, and we just had one, and oh boy, did I regret it. We've got a couple minutes to go. And I'm going to talk to you about it over on YouTube. But for now, I agree. I do better with audio as well. Audiobooks, I just absorb. It is, let me tell you, I'm bored right now. This is my show. I'm talking right now, and I'm bored with the ADHD. It's not because anyone did anything wrong. It's because I need other stimuli. The whole time I'm taking notes and playing with this, checking my phone. It is to keep me engaged. I need something that keeps me engaged. A book running that fast, I'm more than likely going to listen to, because I'm trying to keep up now, as opposed to a slow book that will put me to sleep.
Yeah. Well, even for myself, depending on what I'm doing, the speed will change. If it's a book, like I'm trying to write down notes and things, like when I led the book group, I would have to take notes. A lot of times, because I'm just writing, I would have to slow it down to like 1.1, right? But if I'm just up doing dishes, I can get to like 1.5, maybe approaching 2, depending on the speed of the speaker.
So we have someone here, Universal, and has a lot of emojis. I didn't realize they were making comments. I'm sorry about that. So many emojis, I couldn't tell. Became the #2 fan in our fan club. I didn't even know we had a fan club, but they're from Ohio. Hi there, all the way out from there. It is awesome. And you said that you agreed with something I said, I believe. I agree. I do. No, that wasn't you. There was another. Damn it, there was another comment. I don't know where it went. Someone had actually said, I agree with your. Interesting thought. You said, interesting thought, Universal. What thought was interesting? And by the way, if you guys come over to our channel over on YouTube today, you can be a guest. We have the link in the comments section. Everyone's able to be a guest. Again, like I said at the beginning of the thing, the food kink. Yes, I don't really talk about the food kink because I don't. Kink is fine until it gets unhealthy, and then I don't think we should call it a kink. And I'm going to get in trouble for this, but overeating isn't a kink. It is dangerous. There is real health problems with that. Diabetes, high blood pressure. As someone who trained to be a wrestler and gained a lot of weight and is now dealing with it, high blood pressure absolutely is something I'm struggling with now, especially now that my back's hurt and I can't get off the stuff. Because I had ADHD. I could run a mile in 8 minutes. My younger self could have done it in 7 minutes, even when I was a smoker. I think the fastest I ever got a mile was like 6 and like high 6, not a low 6, like a high 6, 6-minute mile because I was a smoker. But like, I have a bad relationship with food, and I don't think that's good. And I'm struggling now as an adult. I don't think encouraging someone, because I think when it's a kink and someone tries to encourage their partner to overeat, that's where it gets dangerous. That's coercive, in my opinion, but that's a topic for another night. We do have to get going. I hope you all join us over on Kink Educator. We'll do our goodbye now. So YouTube, pay attention for those watching this later on. This is our outro. BDSM is not inherently sexual. We communicate, we negotiate, we talk about it. Play profiles, safety protocols, risk profiles, medical history, aftercare needs, and we use the new acronym to find out our needs, expectations, and wants for our scenes and dynamics. And only then, with garage time in place, the place to tune up your dynamic or scene, are we able to try to achieve consent that is informed. And once we get that consent, we're all empowered by dominance in our dynamics and submission, and all of us are rewarded. Thank you for being part of this. That's my message to leave over on TikTok. They're telling us we're reaching an hour, so I appreciate you all seriously showing up, being part of this channel. It's not our normal channel. Hit that follow button on your way out. Please join us over on YouTube if you want. The good thing about the YouTube videos, we don't need an audience. Me and Alice will talk it up for the next 20, 25 minutes and then sign off. So yes, it is the same. Kink Educator. We are an 18+ platform, but if you're watching us on TikTok, you're supposed to be 18 anyway, right? All right, kids. We'll see you over on YouTube. Now I got to get rid of the screen. Sorry, guys. It's going to be an awkward moment because I got to switch out of screens. Okay. See you on YouTube. All right. Oh, man. Alice last night. Oh, I couldn't even tell this story, I don't think, on
I'm curious. I'm kind of bummed to miss it. I always miss when the exciting people come on like this. But this was in real life, right?
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. This wasn't a live. This was in person live.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So So I did the thing we're doing on Wednesday, but I did it for my community because it's become a topic point. How to talk
Right.
right now? How do we make community safer? It's that time of the year. It always circles around. Everyone's talking about, oh my God, community's so unsafe. Oh my God, you're friends with the predators. What do you expect, right? But
Yep.
it's going around. So I was like, we'll have it in the CCFL. And I plan to move. Alice knows this. I'm planning to move further north in Florida because I'm being pulled back to New York slowly. So slowly, I'm gonna be 60 and back in New York. Watch. But for now, I'm getting pulled more northernly in the future. And so I'm trying to establish CCFL, and I wanted to give them a good presentation. And between me and you, I also wanted to see who could possibly replace me because I'm starting to think that, like, when I do want to move, who are the people who can take over for the CCFL? Because I created this to be passed on. So I did this thing. Let's talk about community. The whole thing was like a safe munch. How do we make this safe? And we talked about the different things, and I'll read off the list, and it gets funny and tragic at the same time once I'm done reading the list. So you're gonna appreciate this story.
Okay. I'm curious.
So let me just look up the event so I can actually read it to you because this is important to know how this was worded. Oops. There we go, my agenda. And you can look up your past events, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. And if you're running events, someone was a problem, block them. Go back to any event that they might have been part of and block it. Make sure to block them from the profile. If you're like me, you should have a profile for what you're doing. CCFL is something I can pass on down the road. It's now an organization. And by the way, Kink Educator is now an organization on FetLife as well. Because it's just me. What's that?
Nice that you moved it to organization.
Yeah, because it's more than me and it should be. We have a cultivated playlist and we're moving that over here to YouTube. So it's pretty awesome. Hey, what's going on? Feel free to make any comments, questions that you have. Hello again to you too. So, and I say read all info and reach out to CCFL before coming. So these were the topic points. This was the exact title. A safe munch, feeling safe in community spaces with ice cream after the munch meetup. We're going to gather to talk about safety in the community and go over the following things and anything else that you would like. And then, it had the address. I never put addresses to event, but I did it. And I almost regretted it, but it turned out I did let this person in, but we didn't vet. So this was one of the very rare unvetted events. And these were the topics: grooming, gatekeeping, kink shaming, red flags, inappropriate language, the dangers of FetLife friendships, disrespect for titles at events, the dangers of community leaders, is the educator actually knowledgeable, inappropriate behaviors of event hosts and space owners, personal responsibilities, community, removing inappropriate behaviors from kink spaces, and when to call red at events. So that's pretty thorough that we're going to be looking for bad behavior.
That's a lot to cover.
And I got it in 2 hours. Now, here's the funny thing. We did it in the middle of a mall because my idea, especially here in CCFL, it's a good gathering place, is we should always be able to have our munches in public, in front of all the vanilla people. If we can't have it in front of people, not education, munches. If we can't have, because a munch is supposed to just be a gathering where we have simple conversations, right?
Right.
So we had it in the middle of the mall, in the middle of the food court. I did put us off to the side away from where kids would potentially be. There's a nice little sweet spot where we can hang out. Everyone starts showing up. I'm hanging out with Mike. You guys know I've talked about Mike before. I'm surprised he's never been on a show with me yet. But you guys have probably seen him in the background when I'm doing a Comic-Con. His voice has been there. I think I've shown him once or twice. He does not care. He's vanilla. It won't affect him. So we were just hanging out and everyone started showing up. He wound up leaving. We set up for this thing. A lot of people showed up. We had like 20 people coming to this.
Wow. Nice turnout.
It was, especially considering I only put it up a week ago because my partner's out of town and I was like, fuck it. Instead of just sitting around. What's that?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do something then.
Yeah, I'm going to be free. My kid's away because he's with his mom. Instead of sitting home watching Netflix, let's get going. Let's do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many people show up. This dude, he comes up late, just sits, doesn't dress appropriately, looks high or drunk. Can't figure out which one.
Maybe both.
I knew he was going to be trouble. But I was happy that we were such a big group that he didn't have room to sit with the rest of us, and no one went out of their way to make room for him. And I know you're like, Rob, that sounds rude. How could you be that person? No, you can tell who's going to be a problem. This person, and I can't go over all the details because I have to keep the people who showed up safe from this. So I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to mention the entire story. I'm going to give you the short version. So, of course, homeboy starts trying to kick it to people who are there, which clearly states in my rule not to do this while I'm talking. And I start saying things like, yeah, we shouldn't be interrupting people when we're at events because that would be rude, wouldn't it, everybody? And I looked at him, and he kind of got the point. He did get the point of that and tried to stop talking. So he tried to talk to a few females, and I kind of women. I know I'm not supposed to use, I don't know, is it women or females I'm supposed to use? I get so confused sometimes. I want to be accurate. We're going to use women. So he tries to talk to two women, and I cut it off, and they clearly are not wanting his attention. One of them even moved closer to me, which made me very comfortable. And so we're having the conversation. They get very quiet and sit in the back. And then, we're at a food court. So if you want to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. No one raises their hand. So one of the people who showed up a little late sat down. We brought them closer to keep them protected. We actually said, hey, come sit here. We gave him a place closer to us so this guy stopped bothering them. So sure enough, we're going through there. And on top of this, I'm not shitting you, security is now watching us, and they've brought a sheriff to now watch what we're doing. Very
wonderful.
But you know me, I ain't stopping. I keep going.
No.
Some people said, oh, well, they're watching. I'm like, let them watch. Maybe they'll learn kink. So we keep going. All of a sudden, one of them leave, and they go to get something, right? And, I'm like, I'm not going to follow this person. But then I noticed suddenly the gentleman who's a problem suddenly gets up. And I
to
watched.
Go follow him.
No, it was like a little later. They got up when they were coming back. So I think they went to the bathroom and gotten like a little drink. Or maybe they had like a quick bite. Like they weren't gone too long. Like they could have had a slice of pizza. It's a food court. They came back, and this guy like makes a beeline for them. And I'm like, don't do that. And I'm talking to you watching. And we're talking about people giving me advice about things, what they've seen go wrong in the community. I'm like, you can't time this better. This is just funny from the outside, knowing that this guy is doing this in the moment. I'm asking for, has anyone seen any inappropriate behaviors? And all people would have to do is point at this point. But I'm watching you now. I'm pissed. Like, how dare this guy do this in the middle of something? I'm literally saying we don't do these things. It's in all of my sites things. And when they wrote me a letter, they were like, oh, I'm just new. So they did lie to me. And how do I know that? Here's what goes on. First, I actually tagged someone else in who I've grown to know and is very smart. I'm like, hey, could you help me by taking over for this? I'm going to go handle something for a second. I walk over to where they are because they're right near our table. And the guy is trying to say something. And I can see the other person, the young woman, is very uncomfortable. And I go, hey, everybody, glad you came back right now. We're in the middle of an important question. And the guy goes, oh, well, we'll join in a minute. We're having a conversation. I was like, no, you're part of this conversation or you're leaving. So why don't we come over here? Everyone can sit down, and I especially want your opinion because you had mentioned something. They didn't mention shit, but it was a way to break it up. So I brought them over to the table. We broke them up, literally had people, like, we put her back in the place we wanted to keep protecting. And the guy stops, looks at one of the people that are there and goes, oh, do you know who I am yet? Creepy as fuck. And I'm like, I don't care. You guys know you're interrupting a conversation now. You can sit down or you can leave. Choice is yours. But we will not have this. He sits down. Very awkward. And then it just so happened, faded, creepy came up. I wanted to talk about creepy behaviors. And this wasn't because of what they just did. It was
it's such a problem all the time in the community that, like, you have to address it.
So definitely, like we're being told from the comment section, yes, creepy vibes, right? Oh no, that's danger potential. Yes, and everyone sees it. And everyone complimented me later how I handled it by getting in the way and breaking it up. But now we're talking about creepy behavior. Alice, you know I've got no chill. It is often a problem with me that I have no chill. So I constantly so if you're going to be a creeper and we're going to pretend the person's like right there. So it's like, if you're going to be creepy, one of the things we don't want is for you to be creepy. If you're going to be a creepy person and bother people, you should leave in the community. Just looking like eyeball fucking the hell out of this guy every time I can bring up creepy behavior. Like, we don't want to make Munch's dating sites. Of course, the person within 10 minutes left. I mean, I'm not subtle. And I had just, and it was so like amazing, because someone had said, well, like, and I think this is the person I handed off to. Well, Rob, what would you do if in the middle of an event you had to have a problem? I was like, well, most people are smart enough not to know to fuck with me. But if they were, and someone tagged me in, because I've been tagged in other events, I generally have to go up to them and be like, do we have to have a problem? Do you want a problem? Because now
I want a problem.
Right? And they don't ever say yes. And I'll tell you right now, I got away with some stuff because M wasn't at the event. If M was at the event, like, she would be like, chill, like, calm down. But I'm like, I'm eyeball fucking this guy. I'm like, if you're gonna be a creepy fuck, there's a problem here. The dude left within like 5 minutes, and like, there was almost an applause until everyone saw the sheriff, and then we were back to the sheriff problem, who like was eyeball fucking me the whole time. So I don't know if the guy thought I was gonna jump over the table maybe in a moment, because I could see the concerns. I'm sure I looked angry. I couldn't see my face, but I bet you it was angry face. And the cops did finally go away on the thing, and we got to, and it was 2 hours. I was standing with my bad back because I didn't trust this guy. I needed to keep him in my line of sight, because we were right near a fountain and we set the tables up and he was behind. I didn't want him to not know I wasn't looking at him. I deliberately, I'm shouting because we're right near like a fountain, not shouting, but very loud. And I'm very animated. Everyone loved the event. I did apologize to everyone, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't have to apologize." I was like, "No, I ran it. I this was an unvetted one. Sure, there's a lot of reasons that it's not necessarily my fault, but I ran it. This happened here. I own it. I apologize." And go ahead.
I also think that, like, apologizing is good, and it has a twofold part. Yes, it's you owning up that you like maybe you had that happen at your event, but by you apologizing, it lets them know that you genuinely thought that was unokay.
Oh, immediately. Hey, this is not what goes on here. That person, and I said it right away. That person will never be back. And I sat around the table and we figured out, because FetLife profiles, not everyone has a picture.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to get everyone who was marked going, and then we found the one person who was marked going that didn't match up, and they had a facial description that matched the jawline of the picture, and they had just created the profile. And the fact that they pointed at someone in the group and said, "Well, do you remember me now?" told me that they're probably a scumfuck. And then, and it was one of those things that I wasn't vetting. And I'll be honest with you, the way they came across in that email, if I were vetting the event, I would have been like, "Oh, sorry, you missed the vetting window. Fuck off." And I've done that before. And it's always the creeps that reach out. Why is it always the fucking creeps? Not all of them, but you get the creep, and you can tell it's a creep, and you're like, "Fuck me, it's a creep who actually."
You want to know the real reason I think they do it?
Go for it.
Because they know if they don't somehow make themselves an actual, like, personal human to you, they know they'll never get past the door. Like, they have to make friends with the bouncer because they know if they just show up, they'll never get through the door. And because I found the similar phenomenon in the groups I work at. The people who are never really problematic typically just come in and read the rules and follow the process to get, and as we've always said, vetting for an event is in no way anywhere near the same kind of vetting as you should do for a play partner. I really want a different, maybe meet the criteria for admission, right? Like, it's not vetting. They're just meeting the criteria for admission to the group. The people who just come and go through that process in my group are never really ever problematic folks. It's always the ones who like feel the need to reach out and like try to have this big conversation that end up getting put on like a, "Hey, what's going on?" kind of thing.
Now, It should be mentioned that vetting would have never singled this person out. The way I vet, the way anyone vets, they were new. This was a situation that was very public, and I didn't care it's a mall. I'm not outing any of us. We're good. And as said, sometimes creepers don't take subtle hints. Luckily, I'm not subtle.
Yeah, no.
Like in your fucking face. Oh my God. And that's exactly what I did with that person. And someone had come up to me and they were like, because the guy had literally stood and started pointing at one of the people, and they all saw me sort of drift that way very quickly because I didn't know what we were going to deal with, and I was across the table from them, but I'd be damned if they were going to do anything or start to threaten someone. I would have walked around the goddamn table. I would have walked through people. I probably would have jumped on the table and be like, say that shit again, because I don't take that. Like, you're not going to intimidate people in front of me. And I know that's ironic because I'm literally talking about intimidating people, but it's my brand. Leave me alone. And they want attention. Remember me? I am so-and-so, alpha attitude. No, I think this guy, what I will say about it is the person that they pointed out was someone who organized things for a different community. I won't say anything more than that because that gets into outing territory.
Yeah.
And I bet you there was a problem at one point. And this person probably had to go away and has recently come back. And now they will never be at another CCFL event. And I don't understand people. So.
Well, I still agree with Chaos's comment. Remember me, alpha attitude, in the fact that we're also in the vein where the person who came up with the whole alpha thing wishes they had never published their papers on it because it has been so misconstrued.
Not just
like to me.
Remember, they found out it was false. There is no alpha.
No. But also, like, when I hear alpha, I also put it with the term, like, it's a nice way to kind of also express the term of, like, Chad energy without calling out a name and somehow now putting all people named Chad in this bucket, right? But, yeah I fully agree. Because anybody, like... You shouldn't be asking people if they remember you unless they're already a friend level person. Like,
you saying, "Do you remember me?" already says
it's weird. It's creepy. It's just gross because you're thinking you're entitled to be in someone's memory.
The only time,
but you're not sure you're in their memory. Like, go away. Go away.
I've asked people if they remembered me because it was about to be a beating. It's like, remember me, motherfucker?
I don't know. The only time I've ever said remember me is like, you got that family member that lives far away from the rest, but they finally made it to, like, they haven't been back since, like, somebody got, baptized or had a baby or something. And they're like, oh, do you remember me? It's been 5 years since I was at the last family reunion to, like, the 7-year-old, right?
All my family turned their back on us. We didn't have that awkwardness. We didn't have family. No, but like it's crazy, and yes, it varies in degrees, basis in narcissism. Yeah, this person was a narcissist because, like, I think for a moment he thought I wouldn't say anything until I roasted him while keeping the conversation going the whole time, and literally passed a pad to that poor young woman. Basically, we all think it was a number, and no one had asked. I meant to ask them, but after 2 hours of standing, dealing with the pressure of that, dealing with the pressure of the cops watching,
you can always follow up. Yeah. And that's something you can always follow up. And at least in my experience, typically what I do if I have something like that occur, I've been lucky enough to not. I'm not going to let there, but I would typically send a message to that person and ask them and be like, hey. In a more private setting, I just wanted to reach out to make sure you're okay and give you a chance to tell me anything else you think I need to know about what happened. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I want to let you know I'm here if you do.
Well,
I did leave it as that.
I pulled him aside right away at the end of it, and I said, is everything okay? Anything I need to know? Anything you need from me? I'm so sorry. We had that conversation. And we had been interrupted at that point, but they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's not going to be bothering me. Thank you so much for what you did. So I don't think I would follow up at this point because I asked once and you almost you seem like you're trying to stir a pot, like let it just be at that point. I told him
if you were already able to have to kind of have that moment, you just did it in person, then
Yeah,
there's no point to do it again.
I'm not a lingerer. Like I address it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you did it so smoothly. I don't know if smoothly was the word, but I certainly did it. I think obviously would be the better word for that. But like this person like knew not to stick around. So if he had stuck around towards the end, I would have gone up and it would have been a confrontation. I would have been like, hey, come talk to me for a minute. And I would have been like, you never come near me again or any of my people. What you did today is very wrong and you need to fuck off. And they were blocked by the end of the night. And of course, because it's a community thing, I heard more about the FetLife white van parties and how they're using roofies over in Southwest Florida, the community I didn't like, and how much more common it's getting, and just other disturbing things. And oh boy, and nothing I can share here, but like it was just one of those nights. And it's sometimes I hate community because you get to find out how many people you should never know. And I know a lot of men know what I'm going to say right now. You're hanging out with someone, they seem really, really cool, and then your friend who happens to be a female comes up and tells you how creepy they are and how they send them messages that are super inappropriate. I remember one time I was with a partner. This dude comes up and says, oh, I saw a perfect set of bra and panties that you would look amazing at Target. And I was still getting to know my partner at this point. So, you're trying to be cool, right? Be chill. And I know my partner would not like me jumping on this person to this date. Would have rather me just let them handle it. And they had just said something basically to the effect of like, oh, thanks. And then kind of grabbed me and walked away. But like my reaction, if given, would have been like, the fuck you say? That would be my honest, instant opinion. The fuck you just say? Repeat that. And I can't stand. Like, what is wrong with my gender? Like, what the fuck? Not all of them, obviously.
Well,
Enough of them to ask that question.
And that's the problem. And like, I always laugh at spaces that don't kick out the creeps, the creepy uncles and aunts, right? Technically, they've never broken a rule, but they're just creepy. Because then they always wonder why they don't have as many women at these events. Yeah, and I will tell you, the people who operate that way, I have tried. You will go blue in the face trying to explain to them that creepy behavior is unsafe behavior to women. To anybody who is not basically cis male, creepy behavior and a lot of good, like ethical, have done some deconstructing of the gender roles. Those people all feel that creepy behavior is unsafe behavior, and who wants to go somewhere to practice kink where they're allowing unsafe behavior of any kind?
I'll be honest with you. I clock that. I'm done. And I tell the fucking organizer, I have a bad reputation for speaking, and I have no quarrels about that. And I am a person who will say shit, will call things out in the moment. I don't care whose opinion I hate. Who hates me for my opinion. There was this one dude, not giving away a name, but we were at a class and I basically stood up and defended basically the right to use safe words and all the things we do on this channel. This person had been over drinking and decided to try to defend their friend and said something really dumb. And I turned around and was like, that's the dumbest thing I've heard, and kind of told him off about it in a very, public munch way. And then the organizer, who I was calling out originally, suddenly was like, okay, let's just change the subject. And this person had the balls to try to be tough online. I'm like, dude, maybe you don't remember because you're too drunk. Oh, I don't drink that much. Oh, well, we could talk about this in person. I was like, dude, I'm going to be somewhere tonight. You come talk to me. I don't care. Let's have the conversation. Because I am just that person, man. I don't play. You don't get to say things when it comes to, me. I will fight till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
I don't care how many people out me? We're going to defend consent. It's consent, period. Informed is necessary to get consent. That's why we put the two together, but there's a comma between them. My community has creepy watch, mods, security advocates. I love hearing that. I really hope that's working. New York kind of had that. In New York, I used to, like, my friends would come up to me, the ones running events would be like, do you see anyone who's a problem tonight? Because pattern recognition, like Wandering Alice and me have talked about, I can see the kind of creepy people. And let me tell you, I'm the type of person, when I'm playing, I will swing backward if you get too close to teach you the lesson.
Same, honestly.
And to me, it's not trying to hurt you unconsensually. It is trying to make sure that I'm keeping a safe space for my partner, because now you're getting in the way of me having a safe space for my partner. And I will turn around to someone and be like, hey, fuck off. And then I remember once I was playing with a partner a while ago, and I said, hey, fuck off, you're in the way. And they turn around to go say something, and I was like, if I have to stop my scene to deal with you, it's going to be worse. They got their shit left. They got their shit and left.
Fair statement.
My partner's like, what happened? I was like, oh, nothing. Someone got too close. And then my fucking idiot friends tell what I did because they overheard it and were laughing so hard. They're like, I can't believe you threatened someone mid-scene. I'm like, you should be happy I didn't take it out on you.
It was only a threat. I didn't actually do anything.
No, they know I would do something. Like, I was younger and stupid. I would have done,
yeah.
Like, it really would have been bad for them.
No, I meant in the sense of, like, you guys should be happy. All I did was threaten them. Nothing else actually happened. Well, I was good this time.
This was 6 months after I knocked someone out at an event.
For getting too close, or, like, just actually, like...
Oh, no. Someone walked up and touched my partner's boobs. Just walked up to him and was like, oh, I like these. The next
that warrants one right to the face, in my opinion.
No, it's wrong. It's wrong.
I mean, yeah.
It was the early 2000s, but it's still not what we do. The next thing they saw were the lights above their head when they were coming to. Like, I had no chill about it because I was walking back from the bathroom. I was like, motherfucker. That was it. So I'll tell you, as we're closing out the program, I appreciate all you guys who are watching right now and those who are watching later. Please don't rat me out to my partner.
Good luck with that.
No. Well, the older stuff, they already know. They know the stories and shook their head at me. I was like, you'd never do that now, right? I'm like, right. So when I finally, because there was an issue, and I've said this on the show, my ex wound up screwing with someone who was husband who was popular in the community when we were separating. She was doing the polyamory thing, and then suddenly only she could be polyamory, and I suddenly couldn't be. I knew my marriage was over at that point. That's as far as we'll go into the story. But it's important that part of the story, because apparently the husband was telling the same thing to their wife, but suddenly just broke it off. So of course the wife gets pissed at me, right? Because what is the call when you're both your partners?
Metamors.
Metamors. So we're metamors, and we were cool, but not great, because this is one of those people who just, my radar went off that they're problematic. So I tried to keep arm's distance. But they're very popular in the community. Guess whose name got trashed when he first got down to Florida? Because of something he never did. That's right, me. So I took years to rehab who I was. Very slowly, wallflowered, got to know some people, had big conversations, realized that I was the other white meat. Let's be honest, that's important, because when you look very white and middle-aged nowadays, that's not always a good thing, right? Like, sometimes you might have a red hat in your closet. I do not. But I can understand people being a little alarmed. Plus, at the time, I was a lot bigger, a lot more jacked. And I was definitely a little overweight. Like, I was a bear when I first entered. I was like bear-like. And because I've cut down for my heart. We talked about that before earlier in the food overeating. But so I finally starting to get trusted. People are starting to really respond to me because I'm respectful, but I say some really good things because I love this lifestyle. So I go to this one event in Cape Coral, and there are never events in Cape Coral. This guy threw this event in Cape Coral, and I'm actually saying this for once out loud because this person was so predatory that I don't care if this somehow outs that person. If somehow can go backwards and figure out who this guy was, I hope they know, because you should be warned about this person. So this guy sets up a munch, and we see this from time to time in this lifestyle and community. Sets up a lunch meetup in Cape Coral, and it was weird because my son was at school. I could attend this, and I Was nervous, so I kind of went around the block because this didn't seem right. You never have a kink event at 11:30 in the morning, right? That doesn't happen.
That doesn't pass the vibe check, I'll say.
That's already a red flag. And I see the guy sitting by himself, and I'm like, okay. I went to get food, came back, still sitting by himself. It's about 20 minutes after it started. I went early to check, and and I'm like, okay, maybe this is just going to be a dud. And then I see him suddenly have like 3 women and a couple coming up to him. I'm like, fuck, I gotta get involved now. Because there's just the way he worded it sounded very off. And it was in Cape Coral, and I am a creator, and that's this point I was living in Cape Coral. And I'm a kink creator. If anyone puts this together, who's on the news when some creepy guy does something outside of a Starbucks? They're going to come fucking find me in that community because they're bored, the new media. So I'm very careful about what they do in the communities I'm part of. In New York City, no one had stopped. In Cape Coral, they're going to be like, oh, there's this guy who does cons that sells fetish books. Let's go fucking harass him. Real fear of mine. That's a real, not where I am now, but in that town, especially because these were the guys that would cover the guy who stole condoms at Walmart. Was a news story to them.
Yeah, because there's nothing else going on. I know the area you're talking about. I can get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a concern to me. So I go up to this thing, and then the guy is drunk. I can tell he's drunk.
God.
He's already drunk. And he just starts going. He starts like a conversation. I could tell there were the adults in the room, and
he wasn't one of them.
No, certainly not. And he starts saying some really dumb shit. Like, I mean, top of the line dumb shit. Like, I just really want to find a slave that I can make adult content with. We can say it here, OnlyFans shit. We're not on TikTok. I want to make OnlyFans videos and have them do all these things for me and just give me oral anytime I want. Like, saying this out loud in front of women and a couple. And I remember just leaning over, and this is what got me a lot of respect from a few people. I leaned over to him and I just said, hey, there are people here who might not want you talking like that, especially outside of Starbucks, and I'm one of those people. You put some respect on people right now in front of me. I was like, you say you're new, none of this is okay. I was like, and I just went like this and put my hand up and did the thing, and you being drunk ain't helping no one. And I kind of whispered it. I was like, why don't you go to the bathroom and get yourself together? He gets up, goes to the bathroom, and look at everybody, and I'm like, is everyone okay? You know, doing that check. Like, anyone wants to leave now? By all means, leave. Right?
No. You won't see the vehicle you came in.
Yeah. And a couple did do that. And one of the people who I did know, and I was attending their class at the time, was living in the area, asked if I could kind of watch and make sure everyone got home because they had to get back to work. And I said, yeah, I got you. I got at least an hour before I got to get my kid. So I stay there until the very end. And like, basically people come up to me and go like, hey, could you do us a favor? Because this guy shows up at another event and basically looks under someone's skirt at a table, very creepily drunk again, and made another person feel very awkward that gave them a ride. They basically had to pay this guy's Uber home to get rid of him, and he was banned from an event. This is how serious this person got about this creepy ass shit, right?
Yeah.
6 years ago now. This is a while ago, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is like years ago at this point. So you're not going to Houdini figure this out because it was that long ago. So
I've got one of a similar vein that happened.
You have to hear how this ends, though. And it's quick.
Yes, please do. And then I'll share mine with you.
So I basically get tagged in to watch this guy. So this guy puts on parties and begins to advertise them as blowjob parties at Starbucks. Not kidding.
God.
You can't make this shit up. So I showed up to every one of them. Very awkwardly, too. Like, I would sit my coffee down, sit right next to him. No one else is there. Sit right next to him and be like, so we're still not learning, huh? Blowjob party, Starbucks. You think this is good for the community? Oh, well, you know, I just want people to know what, that you want a blowjob? You want a blowjob from me? Whoa. And I was like, what's wrong? Are you anti-LGBT? This went on for 3 of his events. Every time I'd show up, it'd be that. Someone showed up to one of his events, a young woman, and literally I showed up. She looked like she was a rescued kitten when I showed up, right? And I walked right up, and I heard him saying blowjob, and I was like, that's not how we talk in front of young ladies, is it? And she smiled, And I sat down and I'm like, oh, do we have to go back over what we will and will not do? And then she was like, oh, I just remembered I have to be somewhere. And she said, thank you to me, and walked away from it because she felt trapped in the moment, right?
Yeah.
The next event he set up, he didn't go to. And these were like 2 weeks apart. Like, homeboy had no chill. So he shows up. I take pictures. I fucking send it to the caretakers on FetLife. And I'm like, I literally have a video with the newspaper of the day's date and had someone answer what day it was in the background. Like, I asked one of the employees, hey, what's today's date, with the camera in my hand? They said it. I was like, okay, thanks. And I was like, oh, I'm on FaceTime, like playing it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they banned him from doing any more events, and he had to actually restart his profile.
Well,
that is how far I'll go, ladies and gentlemen.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
What's your story?
So, speaking of creepy behavior, my partner got roped into a situation. So, and this is something people need to be aware that creepy and predatory people do. Oh, this guy posts, oh, I want to go to the munch, but I don't have a ride there. Can someone take me? You know, kind of playing up what was me. In a lot of communities, will use message threads and stuff of different apps. And someone, a much newer female to the group's like, yeah, I can give you a ride. And my partner sees this and is like, yeah, I know that guy. I'm not okay with anybody giving him a ride, especially a woman. So he ends up offering to give this person a ride to keep them from having to be in the car with this, woman on her own. It takes him there. The person proceeds to do something stupid, just inappropriate behavior for a bunch, and proceeds to get banned and had to Uber home as well.
Oh man, I'm glad your partner was able to do that, but it sucks. It's one of those moments where in your bones this.
Oh yeah, you know where it's going.
But if you tell the event organizers, oh come on,
no. These event organizers were already kind of had an eye watch on this person for creepy behavior and things. I think they're actually fully banned at this point, but like it's also a smaller group and area, so they probably didn't have time to even catch that was going on. And yet again, it's a new person who is so new to the lifestyle, does not realize the real risk that they signed up for by inviting a stranger to get in their car with them.
And we have to understand that when you're first getting in here, it's the first time you're around your own people. You feel suddenly so alive. Oh my God, I can have these conversations. Everyone's going to be cool. Hell, I fell into that after 30 years of being in this community, kink community, seeing all the shit I did. When I got into comic books, I'm like, no, all these people are going to be chill and cool. They're not. They're still human beings. There's good, there's bad amongst them, and we have to remember that. And that's why we have all the talks that we do. Oh my God, it is so crazy. Like all the stories that we get over the years and seeing this. But unfortunately, like one of the things in the community I'm not part of down south of me, it is very clear that someone is running a kink event out of a public venue. And I don't want to say too much because, again, people will come for me for outing. But it has been told to me that there's prostitution going on through this event. Yeah. But here's the thing. I know a lot of people know about this. This event has 300 people RSVP'd. They're faking their numbers. I have asked people who actually went. They get at most 20, 25 people. But their thing, RSVP, says 200, 300. We talked about this during the FetLife thing, remember? How these organizers are trying to pack their books to make them look popular because people want to be at the popular party. And this person is very unethical and doing all this shit. But what do you do when it's the event organizer who's the creep?
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's padding their numbers to seem like the popular event. But also, I know plenty of people who, if they don't feel like there's enough people at an event, won't go because of the whole idea of safety in numbers. Well, even if I don't know anybody, if there's enough people and I scream loud, someone will step in, right? So there's a little bit of that sense when you see a large gathering like that. It's disgusting and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. But you got to have somebody who cares enough to go after that kind of behavior and penalize people who do it.
And I'll tell you, communities will protect predators. I watched the person who touched me inappropriately, broke my consent. Yeah, it was just smacking my ass, but that's still a criminal act. That was someone doing something without consent and having the gall, the audacity we'll use to literally touch someone who did not. And I knew this person still did not. Like, that makes it worse when you know someone and they suddenly think they can do something to you. And this is one of those people. You saw the groping video I put up recently. This is one of those people who'd always come up and massage my fucking arm like I needed a massage. Like, I mean, it's creepy. And if a guy says anything, you know how that goes. You know, just saying, being honest, that, you know, I've dealt with it. And I remember when they violated my consent, everyone's like, why aren't you going to say anything? You know, right away. Why don't you just go to people? I'm like, because it's a woman and everyone's going to think I'm making a big deal out of it. Sure enough, when someone behind my back kept stirring the pot because they wanted to be more popular than me, because people respected me and wanted me to have drama, which led to a lot of bad in my life. And I know who it is. And it's not that you should, you know, ever hit anyone. It's not like that. But it's just those people exist. And you have to realize there are a lot of pot stirrers.
Oh, yeah.
Who want problems. And it made everything worse. But I watched a community defend this person until it got to, my best guess is 20 people's consent were violated in small ways to bigger ways. Yeah. This person was a groomer. And what's fucked up, Alice, they knew it. They all, in the end of the day, knew I wasn't lying. They all, at the end of the day, knew what I was telling
But nobody wants to risk their access to their play spaces.
And they were popular with the younger crowd because they were grooming the younger crowd. And sure enough, the younger crowd came out and went, we all feel groomed now. But many of them were warned by me. Of course, it's not their fault. It's never their fault. And I get it. You have someone who's coming off very aggressive, who's very male. And let's be honest, the menu doesn't really put male in a good place on the menu anymore, right? We're like the appetizer for everyone that no one ever orders right now. Sure, they might be good, but do I want to risk it? No, I don't. That's where I am in the way the world is right now. So, it's a woman. A woman said they didn't do it. Let's trust a woman. And look, I don't want to get into the politics behind that. Of course not. But that's kind of what it was. It was he said, she said, and being he isn't popular right now. And, well, come on. I literally had, I'm not lying to you, a community leader who put the badge on themselves, of course, quote unquote, community leader, literally tell me to my face when I confronted them about this, because there were witnesses, they literally said, well, why didn't you just punch her?
Wow.
Imagine someone my size. Pick any woman. Pick Ronda Rousey. I don't lose that fight. I'm telling you right now, I was crippled ass or not, I don't lose a fight against Ronda Rousey.
Well, you do, but in a very specific sense of it doesn't matter what they did. You're going to be the bad guy in that situation.
I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail if I hit. Even a guy, I might go to jail for. A woman? I mean, it's Florida, so, you know, it might not be the worst in Florida, which is horrible to say out loud.
Even outside of the legal stuff, if you had done that, you would basically at that point taken any ground you'd ever have to try and stand on to join any other community space. Because you'll just be known as the person who punched a community leader.
Well, I shouldn't be allowed in the community. When I punched a person back in the 2000s, everyone knew, but there was a big conversation with me about never. I had my one time. Yeah. Like, I still have friends who will kind of, when I go back to New York, be like, you're not going to punch anyone tonight, right? Like, I have people who still pick on me 20 years later. And it's meant as a, we don't act that way. Everything is consensual. And everyone understood it. No one ever said I was wrong for feeling the way I did. I was wrong because I could have said something. I could have put myself in between.
Yeah.
I could have gotten the organizers, and the organizer was a friend and was like, dude, that's why I'm here. Next time, come to me. And when I went to him a few other times, he was thrilled. Oh, I'll take care of this right now. Because he knew he knew that I came despite what I wanted. I wanted the Batman justice, and he was happy I was going politically correct. And I'm trying, like, Alice, I'm trying to live in a world that it's weird. And that's, as a neurodivergent, I don't always understand it. Because neurodivergents, we like cleanness with the rules, right? Whether we're going to follow it or not is a different thing, but at least tell me what the rules are. And
Yeah.
right now, it doesn't feel like they're good rules for those whose consent gets violated, because it's like, and we've talked about this on this channel. How can we rehab the consent violators? What the fuck did you just say?
Why do you think you're entitled to be a rehabilitator?
Why do they deserve it?
Like, why do they deserve it? Why do you think you have the capacity to somehow label yourself a rehabilitator? Like, what makes you there's so many issues with that.
Do I try?
Well, I mean, I've had people try and be like, I think my least favorite excuse is, but that I hear all the time, at least in my face when stuff comes up, is, well, they're doing the best they can.
That's the best.
Okay, if that's the best they can, then they don't get to ride this. Like, they don't get to ride the kinky ride.
Yeah.
If the best they can is not getting consent or not doing things safely, then they don't get to stick around.
And I'm neurodivergent. I say awkward things. I've made mistakes. I've had to apologize. Even on this channel, occasionally, I'll come off a way that I didn't mean to because I get too overwhelmed. But I've never touched a human being outside of like feeling like I could hit people. Well, that was also taught to me. Not making excuses. I've grown past it and learned from my past. But like, it's a reality. It's why in the end of the book, the first book, Bruce punches someone. He's also not in the best mental place, and it happens. Look, people lose their temper. It does happen. I've grown past it. I think I'm a better person. The fact that no one ever got punched. And I'll tell you, that same community leader came to one of my first events I did in Florida, and I did it at a Starbucks down south. And this guy dressed like Daniel Boone, Davy Crocker. Like, this is not appropriate. Remember Vanilla to the Door? This was not Vanilla to the Door. This was someone trying to play a primal, and it was not going well for their play. Like, it was awkward. It was Florida. Redneck.
That sounds uncomfortable. Like, just genuinely sounds like an uncomfortable outfit.
And he literally started to defend this person to me and asked exactly what date it was. And I gave an approximate date, and I said, when I'm giving it, I don't really remember because I had a lot of stress that night, to be honest. It was the first time in a long time I'd had a really bad panic attack. Didn't have an anxiety attack. It was straight fucking panic. And the panic was, I don't want to blow my opportunity. I was going to be submissive for the first time. I'm being tied up. Play it cool. There's this human being I really want to get to know who became my partner. If I acted the way that everyone would have expected me to act, even my partner was like, I still can't believe how well-mannered and how you did it. It happened. I turned around. Alice has heard the story. I turned around and just yelled, don't do that. Don't touch me. You're not allowed. And they turned around and said, just flamboyantly and like, you know, again, with the audacity of saying, oh, it's happened to me. And then it can happen to anyone. Like that kind of attitude. Like, it's happened to me, so I can do it to anyone I want. I think were the exact words. And I remember turning around and going, I'm sorry it's happened to you. You do not get to touch anyone else. Never do that to me again. And I let it go. I did make a mistake. I didn't tell the event organizer. So I didn't want anything more because I'm here trying to impress someone I really want to get to know better. I don't want to be the person who's going to ruin our night. And then the rest of the night, it was like the worst night for me. The first time I was submitting in public, one of my quote-unquote friends comes up and grabs my nipple. Another dude who I thought I was cool with is sitting there critiquing the ropes that are being put on me and asking the person doing the ropes as if he's some fucking expert. And I have scars who have more time in the community than he does that I've gotten from rope burns from tying. And then another dude, while I'm up suspended, grabs my feet and tries to throw me like I'm a piñata. I don't like being touched, Alice. I do not like being touched.
I would never play again in public as submissive as that after that.
I played 2 other times, but like it was only with my partner now, and they were very good at making sure no one got close. If anyone got close to when we were playing, they would literally come huddle near me because they understood how much it had affected me. And I don't necessarily call myself like a victim of the moment, of the circumstance, because like there wasn't huge things done, and that is a reflection moment for me to be like, well, I had bad things done to me. I wouldn't call myself necessarily a victim because I know even that person went out and did more. And I try so hard, Alice. Like we should all try to be in the space to try to talk the right way, to say things and understand that there is worse. I had a bad childhood, but I had friends who had way worse childhoods, so I don't cry over spilt milk. I'm being asked if I travel to educate. Sometimes I've done things in New York City. I did a lot of panels throughout the East Coast of the United States through Comic Cons where I did educate about kink way before this Kink Educator channel, which always makes me giggle when people are like, well, I've been doing this 7 years. I'm like, oh, sweetheart. I've had a comic book literally out for almost 10 years now. I've been educating for over 10 years on the internet. The only reason I don't try to do events like you do and Tatter is because I won't suck anyone's dick to be popular. See, this is why we like YouTube.
Because we can say that. Yeah.
I can say that, but it's true. I'm not an ass kisser. I'm not going to be someone who's, because they're all ass kissers. If you're giving my honest opinion, most of those events right now, it's circle jerks. It's a bunch of people who kiss each other's asses, and they're all drinking from the same Kool-Aid, and that's a problem. I love that Alice can come on this show one day and decide, Rob, I don't think you have it right. And know that they not only can challenge me, but I'll never take it sideways. And we have great conversations that way. Last week when we did our pilot episode of this, me and Debbie went into it a little bit. And I remember we got off air and Debbie's like, are we okay? I'm like, hell yeah. I love that. Bring that. That's where we grow. People get to see it. It's fertilizer for thoughts. And I don't mean that.
And this is the kind of community we want. And I think that's the other thing that I think is so critical is for people to realize that this is what, like, yes, it's a virtual community we've basically built at this point, but this is what it should be as well, in the fact of you can share your opinions and idea. You can have a discourse about them. You can even be like, I agree. Let's agree to disagree on this. And it doesn't mean you're not friends. It doesn't mean you need to go in down the rabbit hole to, prove something. Because that is what the benefit of community has always been. You go, you share ideas, you come home with some new ones.
And I'll say this, and Alice knows this, and we've talked about this. When we go off air, sometimes we have different opinions that aren't on air. Because when we're on air, we're thinking about a larger community watching us. And you try to be respectful. You try to be honest. Like me even saying something on air like, well, I'm a middle-aged white guy. I'm kind of the bad guy right now. It could be a little controversial, but it's important to acknowledge that not only do I see that, and I'm worried about it, but that it is a conversation. And maybe not everyone's bad, right? And off air, I don't have a different opinion, but off air, it'll also maybe be me being like, yeah, I don't know why people dislike me. And I'll show that more sensitive side and be like, yeah, sometimes I get judged and that sucks. Or we talk about our dynamics in a way that we wouldn't teach, and you have to understand when we're here, we're trying to give you the best we can.
Exactly. Because it's trying to put out for public consumption not necessarily altered opinions from what we have, but the most widely safe to explain. It's the same reason why we don't teach certain or dive into certain activities, because it's just not safe to do on the internet. And so we may, like you said, we'll go into our opinions a little bit more offline in a way that would also maybe be hard to follow if you haven't had as much like offline convo with each other as we have.
And it also goes through your time with your partner. We're teaching with the assumption that most of the people watching this are basically new or new dynamic. When you've been with someone for a couple years and have really taken the steps and grown something, you guys will try some crazier shit because you have each other's back. You can trust your partner to say yes to this, and they're not feeling in any way like they have to impress you. Because there's a point in a relationship where, we still want to be pretty. We still want to be liked by our partner. But we're going to say what we really want after a while. The salad days. I remember I explained that to Alice. She got a kick out of it. When you first go out to eat with someone and you're eating salad because you don't want them to judge you, a year later, you're like, Yeah, I could use another cookie. You know, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
In the life for 30 years, and I've learned a lot. I pass on what I learned, but point to others I trust to teach other things. I used to do that a lot until someone came up
Mm-hmm.
like, it's time you started using your voice or it's wasted. Because I'd already made a comic. I had already been doing this stuff. That's why I created the Educator channel, because we were at a point when we're still there. I just read this book, and it's dangerous shit that's getting put out there. And there's some good shit. So you need the adults in the room to kind of stand up. And I'll be damned if somehow I became the adult. This is what happens when you survive. Suddenly people look at you as the adult in the room, and you're looking around looking for the adult too. Like, what are you guys staring at? Who's behind me?
Yeah. At some point you get into adulthood and you realize mostly what adulthood is trying to survive and do all the things you're told you have to, while constantly looking for the adultier adult in the room.
And by the way, if you ever want to be on the show, I don't know how to say your name, so I'm going to go with Creations. You can always hop on in the future things. This is meant to be all of us coming to have this conversation, being in this room. It's just not this isn't cool. We'd invited some other people. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone's available. We might have to talk about moving this off of Sunday, sadly, Alice. We're going to try a couple more times. I was preoccupied with all the TikTok battle I was doing this week, trying to get the other channel, and I didn't do this. I think we're going to name the next one maybe 2 weeks out. That way we have time to build it. What do you think, Alice? 2 weeks from now? We'll
Yeah,
try it.
I think 2 weeks out, and kind of start advertising it for being 2 weeks out, like start tomorrow, to see who we can get to join us.
Yeah, because I enjoy that. Chaos. Okay, Chaos Creations. I was about to say I like Chaos too. I read that so wrong. The neurodivergent in me. I was like, I like Chaos too a little bit. That's why I have a brat. I think this is a good time for us to say goodbye. 2 hours. So, and that's after me having that awesome event yesterday. Most of it was awesome. That's not me being trying to be funny or facetious. I did have an awesome time with the community yesterday, which is two bad experiences: the po and the creeper. But once the creeper went away, it all got better. Chaos Creation says, "I'm a brat." LOL. I'm a brascal, a brat with muscles, but don't grope me. You know, when you're objectified as a man, it just comes off different. I was in a room and I got asked to take my shirt off. My neurodivergent dumbass was trying to show a clavicle bone because they were all like, yeah, can we see your clavicle bone? There I am taking my shirt off, and I suddenly realized that I got played. It was like I was a girl wearing a white T-shirt on a summer day, and the boys wanted to play a water gun fight with me, Alice. I didn't know what they were looking at.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've heard it's a thing though, just a very different way.
Yeah, I felt. I don't like being objectified. I don't like being touched. Last funny story, and then I'm out of here. I had a friend. Wound up being the godfather of their child, and I wound up having a lot of problems with the dad. Stayed friends with her, and because I was, made the godfather despite me not wanting to be the godfather. I'm not the most religious person, and they wound up breaking up. And I was just being a good friend, and they just turned 21. So no, I don't think they were 21. They were like 20. So I took them to a bar that was famous in New York City. This was in Hempstead. I forgot the name of it. Was it Hempstead? It was either Hempstead or New Hyde Park. I forgot where it landed on the thing, or it was Floral Park. Either way, this was like a famous underage bar. Like, a lot of bad things happened. They wound up selling it off because of it, and everyone knew. But I took them there because they wanted to go out, and they let 18-year-olds in, and I refused to buy them alcohol. But they ruined my relationship with them because we were always just friends, and I was never attracted to them. Very attractive young woman. Don't get me wrong, very attractive. But I'm demisexual. That means I can know someone's very attractive and not be attracted to them, right? So and she suddenly starts looking at me and goes, oh, well, because I'm trying to keep an eye on her because people keep buying her shots now, and I'm not her dad. I can't tell her not to drink, but it's happening. So this dude starts like really rubbing up on her and doing all this stuff, and she's like, he's like, I'll take you home, baby, and that shit. And I got literally in between them and said, I'm taking her home, because I knew her mom. Mom was chill as fuck. I'm like, she's going home tonight. I was like, we're done. You're done giving alcohol to an underage girl. He's like, hey, what's your problem? I was like, see, you got it wrong, friend. You're about to have a problem. Fuck off. And she looks at me after that, because he did go away. I'm not really a person people stay for that anymore, because I got a little bit of crazy from my mom. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, you're just jealous. I'm like, I can assure you I'm not jealous. No, you've always wanted me. I was like, I've never wanted you. We've had this talk. We're just good friends. Like, nothing wrong with you. You're an attractive human. And this is before I understood demisexual. And I was like, I just don't have it for you. I was like, you're the mother of my godchild, that kind of thing, to try to get out of it. So she's like rubbing up on me, and I'm like, can you please stop? And she's like, oh, you want me. Just admit it, you want me. She takes her hand and shoves it down my pants. Boy, did she realize I didn't want her. Like, I didn't think my dick was a turtle until that moment, because it went inside the shell. It took me a week to get it back out. Let's just put it that way. I was confused. And after that, I'll tell you this, the rejection didn't go over well, and that ruined our friendship. Not on my part, but how she took the rejection. And she never wanted me. She wanted me in the moment. So it's awkward out there. People get weird very quickly.
Yeah.
That's why I have a rule. Alice knows this. 90 days. If you meet me in any educator capacity, any event provider, and me and Alice have talked about how I've gotten people to make weird gestures towards me, people willing to pay for certain things. Some of those things I can't even talk about it on here. I think the video would get taken down on YouTube. The things that people have offered me in the last 2 years. And people don't take rejection well, so I've made these rules to protect myself. Being demisexual, you can be the hottest person in the world, and if we don't connect, it don't mean nothing to me. But if we connect, I'm worth waiting 90 days for, baby.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't needed it as much, but I've basically kind of internally kind of put that same limit in. It hasn't come up where I would need to discuss it with anyone, but I'm also demisexual. I need a good bit of time to get to know someone anyways myself, to see if the connection's there. Because like you said, if the connection's there, you could be the hottest, richest human in the planet, and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just not, no. So boundaries are important. They're needed.
Always. Okay, you get the last comment, because I do gotta go pick up my little one. Good standard you have. Engage the brain. Always. I'm very thoughtful. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it came up in a conversation recently. I just want to share it with everyone. If you're in a situation where you feel like things are going too quickly, getting too intense, too fast with someone new, or you're just hanging out with someone, and sometimes you haven't thought about what your body is telling you you want, go to the bathroom. That's my tip for you guys. Take a break, go to the bathroom. Because generally, once you go to the bathroom and it breaks the momentum, when you come back from the bathroom, it might not be the same anymore. Cooler heads might prevail. So bathroom breaks are great, and do that even if someone's like hitting on you or something and they're just not getting the point. Go to the bathroom. Now, if they follow you to a bathroom, instantly tell the host. Tell them how creepy it is. And if you have anyone that's with you in the other room, text them and say, hey, this dude or this woman, it has happened. I have had a woman follow me to the bathroom at a Comic-Con. So if a human follows you, do that. And yeah, I mean, I really wish that we could just have a thing where we're like, hey, look, you're a very nice person. I'm not interested. And no one got hurt. But the truth is, people don't take that well, and especially when you're stuck at a table or you're a host or something like that, adopt a 90-day rule. It's a nice way to let people down. Most people won't wait 90 days for you. I'll tell you the truth. No one has come back after 90 days or spent the 90 days to get to know me. Because if someone came up to me and was like, hey, we talked about 90 days ago, and you said I'd have to wait 90 days, and they just pop back up, I'd be like, well, you didn't really stay around for 90 days. You're introducing yourself so the clock starts again.
Yeah, exactly. It's 90 days of engagement to get to know each other.
Yeah, if you didn't get to know me, you're still attracted to the educator, not the human. And trust me, I'm a dick. You won't like me. Thank you all for being here tonight. This has been fun. We won't do this weekly. Right now, my call is probably leaning more towards monthly. So we can have everyone, we can have the cool in the month, we can have a pet in the month. maybe get together and talk about all the bigger ideas. Tonight kind of got hijacked with the book that I read, the community thing I had, but we had great conversations. I want to thank my co-host, Alice. We will be back this Wednesday at 6:30. It's maybe 6:45 on TikTok. They're not watching, but in case any of you from TikTok that watch this, we'll be back at around 6:45. We're hoping Kink Educator is going to go live. If not, we'll have the backup ready to go. My name is Mr. Anderson. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Alice, any final words before I hit goodbye?
Not for me, just other than thanks for joining tonight, and come back to have more conversations and hopefully join us next time.
Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Tip your waitress.